In this session, we're going to take a look at EventSentry's NTP, which stands for Network Time Protocol, monitoring feature. And NTP monitoring is part of system health, and there's a couple things you can do with that. You can take the passive role and simply monitor the local time as it compares to the NTP server to see how much it deviates from your NTP server, or you can take an active role and also actually set the local system time based on the NTP server. So let's take a look here under system health. There is the NTP domain controllers package that's actually installed by default in 5.1. If I expand this package, I see the NTP object in there. And notice here also that the package is slightly off color, kind of a turquoise. And that means, of course, that this is a dynamically assigned package that applies to any domain controller. So taking a look at this, the setup of this feature is pretty straightforward. So we can verify the time here, configure the verification interval. So here it's set to 5 minutes by default. So every 5 minutes, the agent will go to one of these NTP servers and essentially verify the time. If the time difference is less than 5 seconds, then the agent won't do anything. But if it is outside, so if the time difference is more than 5 seconds, then it will actually adjust the local time, and it will log any activity it does. So if it actually does end up adjusting the time, it will log that as a warning to the local event log. And there's also a recurring logging option you can set. So every 24 hours, the agent will essentially do a comparison with the NTP server and log the time difference. So just so you have an idea of, okay, how accurate is the local time. Now you may wonder, why does EventSentry include this? Windows actually does have the ability to synchronize the time. Obviously, synchronized time is very important for the Windows domains and the Kerberos protocol. Well, we've seen that sometimes the configuration and maintenance of the time synchronization in Windows can be a little bit tedious and difficult and sometimes buggy. And setting this up in EventSentry is actually quite easy, and it also serves as a sort of a second checker verification to make sure that the Windows time synchronization is actually working. So whether you take the active or passive role obviously is completely up to you. If Windows is syncing the time in your network, then that's great. You can still add a package here and just sort of verify, is it working? Or you can say, I don't want to rely on the Windows NTP protocol, Windows time synchronization. I want to set this up with EventSentry. So as it ships out of the box, of course, only your domain controllers are going to be synced. If you wanted to also make sure that your workstations are synced with your domain controllers, for example, then you would set up a second package. Say, for example, that you wanted to synchronize the time of your servers with your domain controllers. Then what we would do is we would go to System Health and we'd create a new package, and we'd call this, of course, just to match what we have up there, call it NTP servers. We'd make this global, but at the same time make it dynamically activated to only apply to servers. And then, of course, we're going to add, click here again, we're going to add the NTP object. Now, we don't want the servers that are on the internal network to actually go out onto the internet. Instead, we want them to go to the domain controllers. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete those servers from the list here. And we're going to add our domain controller, which is this one. We can leave the same settings here as we had before. Verify time every 5 minutes. We can even increase that. We could say, that's enough to do this every 15 minutes. We can reduce the tolerance, maybe saying, okay, we want this to be no more than 3 seconds, and we can leave the rest as is. So this essentially now tells all the servers in your network to synchronize their time with the domain controller. Of course, if you have multiple domain controllers, you can add all of those here. And then you could create another package for workstations as well, for example. And that's really how easy it is to set up NTP monitoring. So it's really just a matter of adding the object, specifying the servers, and the whole setup is complete. And that's really straightforward and ensures that the time on your entire network is synchronized. We can sort the packages here real quick. We have them nicely grouped together, and then all we have to do is save and deploy the configuration. And within a minute or so, all of the monitored. Domain controllers and servers are going to have their time synchronized.